quite a bit of stories to go through today, including if Wegmans is using a coconut milk company that uses forced monkey labor. I have the latest on that video on Facebook showing an altercation between a man in military fatigues and another man on the street. We had the 7 officers that got suspended in Rochester as well today, as well as the NSA program. And I have a little update out of Niger for you guys. I know we talked about the flood a few days ago on my channel. Today we're going to talk about a couple of the other things that's been going on in Niger. I hope everybody is having a good night. Again, I am Brandon Bonner. For those of you who don't know, thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Facebook people, I love you guys. You guys are great. YouTube people, you guys are great too. And we are going to get started here. Once again, thank you guys for watching today. So let's go. Let's get started. So today's first story is about Wegmans. So the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, has been criticizing Wegmans for selling coconut milk that they say uses forced monkey labor. So according to PETA, monkeys are forced to climb trees to pick coconuts. For the coconut milk brand, Chakoah, Chakoh. And Wegmans is one of the few holdouts that are still selling the product. Apparently, PETA is having humanely obtained coconuts delivered to the grocery store. So that'll be interesting in how it's played out. I know a lot of us, including myself, love to shop at Wegmans and love Wegmans. So I don't know. I can't say I'm a big coconut milk drinker, but that was very surprising. And forced monkey labor was definitely one of the weirder things I think I've found out that exists. 2020 has been a weird year, but that might be one of the weirder stories I think I have seen. So now let's talk about Rochester, because they've been in national headlines. Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren today, she announced that the 7 officers have been suspended. She said, "I am suspending the officers in question today against council's advice, and I urge the Attorney General to complete her investigation," Mayor Warren said. "I understand that the union may sue the city for this. They shall feel free to do so. I have been sued before." So she later went on to say in that interview that she did not, this incident, even though it happened in March, she didn't hear about it until August 4th. Now, today is September 3rd. So if she's known about this incident since August 4th, why were actions not taken sooner? It wasn't until this video leaked to the public that she took action. Why is that? I'm being serious. I'm not trying to be critical. These officers should be suspended. There should be an investigation into this. That whole scenario is awful. But what I don't understand, if she found out about this almost a month ago, why was this not handled a month ago? I think that's a valid question to ask. And if you live in Rochester, you should be calling your mayor and asking her that question. Why did it take until this leaked to the public and public outrage for anything to happen? I mean, honestly, this stuff, had the video come out and she said, look, the officers are already suspended, I already dealt with it, this is the video in question, I think things would have been differently. Maybe not much differently, but they would have been a little bit differently. You see, the issue is politicians right now don't want to act unless their career's on the line. At least that's what I'm seeing. We see it all the time here in Buffalo with Mayor Brown, who doesn't want to do anything until it's seemingly too late. And then it's just to try to make himself look good and save face for the public. It's a little ridiculous. All right, so now let's get into another video that's been making its rounds on Facebook, this time out of Buffalo. So Officer Richard High, who was twice suspended by the Buffalo Police, is under investigation after he was caught in an altercation on Elmwood Avenue today. He was off duty at the time and dressed in military fatigues. He punched the man, who is described by police and eyewitnesses at the scene as mentally distressed and displaying violent behavior. Now, the video that was posted on Facebook by Ablo Pablo, he wrote this. He wrote, "Person in military fatigues assaults mentally deranged man while I sip coffee." He appeared to have been sitting right there. Now, Officer High has a popular Facebook page called Angry Cops. He was also seen maybe a month or two ago. He was giving Blue Raven a hard time while Blue Raven was filming him, and Blue Raven took him to school. Blue Raven, if you're watching this, man, that was great. he took him to school, on the First Amendment. Just doing what he does, rattling off court cases at him, doing all of this, right? Just he doing what he does. He brought Officer High to school. And Officer High, the only Supreme Court case he kept referencing, he kept bringing up, well, what about Roe v. Wade? Have you ever heard of Roe v. Wade? That had nothing to do with the First Amendment, which is what Blue Raven was talking about. So that was pretty intense. What's going on, Joseph? All right, so now more protest news out of Philadelphia. There were 17 people arrested today. They were protesting outside the district attorney's office in Philly. Police cited them for failing to disperse after they blocked the entrance to the building for hours. Eyewitness News also found some protesters around the corner demonstrating in front of the entrance to the municipal court. How did the altercation start? All right, Cameron. So the video where it takes place is with Officer High. Let's talk about that for a minute. He punched the guy. That's where the video takes place. Now, there's some yelling going on. I don't know what exactly happened. Officer High punches the guy and sits on his chest until Buffalo police show up while a crowd gathers around. So I don't. Yeah, Jesse, that was the Roe v. Wade guy, exactly. And and he sat on the guy's chest until police arrived. Now, the guy that he punched, he wasn't choking him out or anything. The guy was talking and all that, and he clearly looked like he was experiencing some kind of mental distress. The issue is just the way you can't handle situations like that. It's amazing to me that nobody stepped in and hit this guy while he was just sitting there on a guy's chest. Yeah, Beth, his name's Joshua Harris on Facebook. The video is that video that I'm referencing is pretty old. It's a few months ago, but maybe I can get him to share it again. I'll shoot him another message. But I'm going to reread this Philly story then, and then, let's move on. We'll talk about that again later at the end of the video, where there's a couple things we'll talk about. But let me get to the story out of Philly, where 17 people were arrested, handcuffs for protesting outside the district attorney's office. Police cited them for failing to disperse after they blocked the buildings for hours. One of the demonstrators even had a paper mache make of Jim Kennedy, Philadelphia's mayor. And I guess all the people there basically declined to be interviewed, from what I was reading at all the local papers, saying that they don't talk to the media. So let's talk about another story here I think is important. So the NSA, Edward Snowden, obviously we all know who he is. He exposed the NSA for collecting data on American citizens. Well, the National Security Agency program that swept details on billions of Americans' phone calls was illegally and possibly unconstitutional. Federal appeals court ruled on Wednesday, which is a big victory because it should not be legal to spy on us. However, the unanimous three-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit of Appeals said the role so-called telephone metadata program played in criminal terror fundraising case against Somali immigrants was so minor that it did not undermine their convictions. So that, those people that were convicted, they're not going to overturn their convictions based on this evidence because they say the evidence was such a minor role in those cases. But this is a pretty big win. And what could it mean for Edward Snowden? Because Edward Snowden's basically been living in Russia. Guess what he was doing was okay. I never said what he was doing was okay. I did not once say that, Victoria. Maybe you should fucking learn something and not try to put words in people's mouth. But yeah, so this is a big win. And hopefully what I hope to see out of this is Edward Snowden getting pardoned, right? That would be ideal because, Edward Snowden had the right to alert people that their government was spying on them, I feel. I know there's some people that disagree, and that's fine. But this should also end the bulk collection of data, as the court has said, the bulk collection of data that the NSA Meta program was doing violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. So that's, like I said, that's a pretty big win. And hopefully, the government's always going to find ways, I think, to spy on people. But Snowden deserves a full pardon for his role just educating everybody. Just like I feel Julian Assange deserves a full pardon. And I want to give you guys an update on Niger. I talked about a couple weeks ago where towns in Niger were absolutely devastated by flooding. Well, Karaga town, which is the headquarters of the Rafi local government, has been completely taken over by bandits. So basically, I guess around 100 bandits stormed Karuga town at around 6 p.m. with sophisticated weapons on Wednesday, and they started shooting sporadically at whatever object they came across. As they were operating in Karuga town, some of the bandits were said to be operating in some of the surrounding villages. They were said to have moved from house to house and abducted some of the residents, stole cash and other valuables out of their houses. During the raid, 6 people, including a vigilante in the area, were gunned down by the bandits. It was also reliably gathered that a commercial bank in Karaga was also raided, and cash is yet to be quantified, but it was carted away by bandits for close to 24 hours between 6 p.m. and to about 4 a.m. The bandits operated freely without corresponding response from security agencies. So, like I explained to you guys what happened a little while ago, the floods, it destroyed people's homes, mud homes. Yeah, it destroyed a lot of the country, and it really created a very desperate situation for a lot of people. So these bandits now that are basically moving from town to town through the country, and they're just raiding people, stealing them, and kidnapping. It's a very bad situation over there. A very, very bad situation. There's, I know a lot of us complain about everything going on here, but when you see stuff like this and you see, bandits just storming into mud villages and gunning people down and taking the little possessions they have, I think it really kind of minimizes. I definitely feel like our problems are minimized in that aspect. Yeah, we're going to talk about that some more, because that's like the local news of the day, the big one on social media. So I'm going to keep talking about Officer High, Justin. So Officer High was the one who was caught in that video. He was not on duty. He was in military fatigues. Now, the video, like I said, it picks up where Officer High punches the guy. What happened before that, I don't know. But that is why, and that is why this is such a big deal. We don't know what happened before it, but what we do know is he punched the guy. He sat on his chest till police showed up. He did it. This was all over Facebook. The story, if you want to read it, the investigative post already did a story. The video was on Facebook. I'll see if I can find it and share it on Facebook for you guys again. But I think Abdul Pablo, who posted it, I think he actually deleted it already, if I'm not mistaken. But there's a couple others out there. I'll find one of them and share it for you guys. But Officer High, he's in fatigues. He's not on duty. So I don't want anyone to think that. But he punches the guy and basically sits on his chest till police shows up. I think the video was maybe 4 or 5 minutes long. It's not like it's a crazy long video. And there's quite a bit of commotion. There was a guy that came up in a wheelchair with a baseball bat. A lot of people obviously were very angry about this incident that were there, and it quickly gathered a crowd. Now, there was one man in the crowd defending Officer High for his actions, but Officer High, he was on video a few months ago giving the Blue Raven a hard time. He's also been suspended twice. He has a Facebook page called Angry Cops that has over 340,000 likes on it. So this guy is very influential. I did reach out to his page. I sent them a message for a comment. They have not gave me a comment. I said I was going to talk about this. Blue Raven took Officer High to school on the First Amendment. And Officer High response to Blue Raven was, well, have you heard of Roe v. Wade? And then, when Blue Raven wanted to talk about Quentin Suttles to him, he was like, well, do you know who Quentin Suttles is? Like, any of that's relevant. I don't know Officer High personally. I have some people on my Facebook that do, that messaged me the day it happened with Blue Raven, which is why I knew his identity the day it happened. Yeah, the guy, yeah, exactly. And, so nobody, it didn't get violent to the point. Yeah, I know. And I believe he was, now I don't know this for sure, but I believe he was the officer a couple years ago that got suspended for a social media video where he pretended like he was stealing coke out of an evidence room and running. I don't know if you guys remember. That was a pretty funny video, but the officer got suspended. If I'm not mistaken, that was Officer High, but that was a few years ago, so my memory might be failing me on that. But I'm pretty sure that was also Officer High, and that was one of his suspensions. Um, you know, but unfortunately, the situation was not good. I don't know what the guy was doing that got him punched, and I am not going to defend the guy as I don't know what happened. But if all he was doing was standing in the middle of the road, that happens all the time in Buffalo. You know how many people just stand in the middle of the road here and ask for money or scream random stuff at you? Try going down Grant Street. Seriously, I'm not trying to be a jerk. People do that stuff all the time. So if that's his issue, there's a problem. If you're a police officer and all this guy is doing is talking to you and you felt the need to punch him, there's a problem there. If he did not hit you first, if he did not do anything to you first, if he did not lay his hands on Officer High first, Officer High should be fired. And that is the only way that is okay. Should call the health department SWAT. I don't, these police officers are supposed to be disciplined. They're supposed to be model citizens. They're not. That's the problem. If they're model citizens, if they're doing their job right, no issues. Nobody would come in at the cops like this. But you know what? They're not acting disciplined. They're trained for this. They should. It's absolutely ridiculous that you expect a cashier to bite their tongue to rude customers, but a police officer could punch someone who talks badly to them. No. It doesn't work that way. All that training you get, absolutely ridiculous. We don't play those games, guys. I have no problems with cops that do their job right. They're model citizens. They live in the communities. They volunteer. They do what a public servant is supposed to do. The issue is these guys are not doing what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? It sounds like you described Super Trooper fire. I've never seen Super Troopers. Maybe I should. I heard it's pretty funny. But, the police officers should be model citizens. They should not be doing this stuff. They shouldn't be beating their wives. It's ridiculous that so many police officers are convicted of beating their wives. Yeah, I know, guys. I know there's protests in Rochester. I was watching one of the videos before I went live. This whole situation's awful. All this distrust between police officers. If you guys remember, the day before Marty was pushed down in Niagara Square, that they kneeled down with us. The day after, they're fracturing a guy's skull. I don't care about the stress of the job. Honestly, I don't care. If you can't handle it, you shouldn't be doing it. I'm not trying to be a jerk. They should get the psychiatric help they need. They should get taken care of. Do not get me wrong. However, they should also be expected to be, model citizens. All right, let's see what Justin has to say. I quit being a cop because of the politics of it. Hiring because you have to fill a spot. Departments helping buddies to get promoted. Personal experience, one department. Yeah, that's, I would love. Oh, man. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about tomorrow, too, Mike, here in Buffalo. Yeah. And seeing people die, but that's why they should be taken care of mentally and everything else, right? And that's why I say good police officers should get taken care of. But you got to get bad police officers off the streets because that's the problem. Yeah, it's supposed to be a public service job. It's a stressful job. And maybe there's better ways to go about it. But when you see these people that are clearly in mental distress being assaulted by police, the autistic guy, you see all these things where people get shot and they get hit by cops, and it's amazing to me. And we expect these people to protect us. If my house is getting broke into, I'm expected to call the police. But how can I expect them to protect me if I can't even expect them to show up to a scene and get the right person, not hit somebody that's not doing anything to them? How can I call the cops and trust them to do their job as public servants if they're not doing their jobs? Even out of uniform, they should be expected to act to some code of excellence. For shit's sake, NFL players are suspended quicker for hitting their wives than police officers are. Honestly. No, the public health. Yeah, no, the mental health of the public is important too, and I think that's important. We need, but like that's part of demilitarizing the police. You take these fundings out that we're putting in and giving them all these big fancy toys that they get to pull out during protests that they cannot use responsibly anyway, as we have seen and I have seen and experienced firsthand. We give them this stuff and they don't use it properly. Cops will instantly be suspended for domestic abuse. Yeah, but then they're back on the force. That one guy that called the girl a cunt in Buffalo for filming him, he was suspended a number of times for domestic abuse. Why aren't these guys fired? And I know part of it is the police union contracts protecting them. But they should be fired. If you hit your wife, fired. If you do this stuff, you should be fired. If you're caught doing something detrimental to the badge, like Officer High did today, like NFL players can get suspended for any conduct detrimental to the league, you should be suspended. You don't know what the investigation showed. You're right. I don't know what the investigation showed, but I know the guy had multiple complaints. I mean, I seen the guy's action on camera towards another person. That just doesn't happen. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's okay, Jonathan. I'm going to share the video on my Facebook. All that happened, there was a guy that got punched on Elmwood by a guy in military fatigues who is now we know is Officer High of the Buffalo Police Department. And he sat on his chest until police showed up. Yes, Jonathan, I have. But I've never hit her. Never hit anyone. I don't hit females. I'm not a piece of garbage. If you feel the need to hit a girl, you shouldn't be with them. I don't. There's nothing excusable for hitting a woman in my book. I don't care. Unless your life's in danger, nothing. But yeah, and all that happens, he sat on the guy's chest, and it's awful. Absolutely awful. That happened. Now, I don't know what happened. Look, the guy wasn't going to get up, start swinging. He was sitting on the ground. Maybe he would have. I don't know. But police showed up. The situation seemed to have de-escalated quickly after the police showed up. The guy was let off the ground. Like, again, he looked like he was in some kind of mental distress. And and that's the thing about unions. So unions are there to protect all workers, whether the good workers, bad workers. No. If you're a bad employee, you should be fired. End of story. I don't care what your job is. I don't care if you're a carpenter. I don't care if you're a police officer. I don't care if you're a teacher. You should be fired if you are caught doing something like that. My father was a detective for Tonawanda PD. The only riots I remember was in 70 when Kent State protesters were killed by the National Guard. UB Main Street College. Oh, man. See, okay, that was a little bit... No, I know, Jonathan. That's why I'm trying to tell you, man. I'm just trying to explain to you. I'm not trying to give you attitude. That's just how I talk, bro. But yeah. Oh, sorry. I did not mean to show messages. I accidentally clicked it. But yeah. So yeah, that's awful. I didn't know that there was riots in 70s in Buffalo. I mean, I wasn't born until 95, if I'm honest with you. So a little before my time. But yeah, guys. And tomorrow there's that protest on Hurdle. I will be there streaming on my Facebook. YouTube people, feel free to add my Facebook, follow my Facebook, whatever it is. We're going to do what we need to do. We're going to stream. If I'm not live tomorrow night, assume I was just streaming protest, or I'm still streaming protest, and check my Facebook page if you usually watch on YouTube. But yeah, guys, I have more information for you guys coming for some of these stories. Officer Richard High, I'm going to follow that because that is an ongoing internal investigation right now. And will he get suspended for it? I don't know. Is there video footage of what happened before that led up to the guy getting punched? I don't know. I have looked for it. I have not found it. Now, there is a bunch of businesses in that area of Elmwood, so I'm assuming one of the businesses have something on camera. And what's going to happen, during the investigation will probably depend on what is shown in the video from the business nearby. Now, if this guy did indeed put his hands on Richard High prior to Richard High punching him, All right, because all I seen was Richard High punch him once and sit on his chest until police showed up. However, if the guy was just in the street yelling, then that is not okay. So really, it really depends on the actions before. Now, I think the whole thing was excessive. I think once he had the guy on the ground and the guy said he was done, I think he should have let him up and just held him there until police showed up. However, you know, that's how I would have handled it. It's not always the same as how other people handle it, and that's understandable. Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, anyone coming to the protest, find me, say hi. Let's be safe. And guys, I love all you guys. You guys have a good night. Yeah, if I can find a ride to Rochester, I'll be there. If not, I'll be at the one on Hurdle in Buffalo. It really depends. Either way, I'm not too worried about anything. I'm gonna see what's going on in the Rochester stream. I'll have my Kevlar vest on underneath a hoodie and my media vest, as I always do during large protests, because I'm trying not to have anything happen to me, guys. I also have bulletproof plate for my backpack, so we'll be good there. That's what Beth. I was wondering the same thing, why he was in military gear. Honestly, you're watching it now. Yeah, I was watching it beforehand. It looked like it was pretty crazy. I don't know why he was in military gear. I was trying to figure out the same thing. At first, I thought it was like a National Guardsman or something. The whole situation to me is strange. Why was the police officer in military gear? Why was the police officer in military gear punching a guy? The whole thing. He's a soldier. Is he a soldier? I thought he was a Buffalo police officer. Is he an ex-soldier too? Oh, he's in the oh, okay, yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I thought it was a National Guard uniform. Okay, that's interesting. So he's both. Okay, that's very interesting. I'll be honest. I didn't know you could be both at the same time. I should probably look into that. I didn't know that, guys. Like, these are things I don't know. No, that's crazy to me. Okay. Well, yeah. So, yeah. Okay. But yeah, he was in his uniform. I don't know what led up to that. Maybe there's some kind of footage out there. I don't know the guy in the video. I don't know the guy that did the video either. It's just lots of officers are both or have been like, yeah, my dad was in the Navy. He's a CO now, Justin. So yeah, I get that. I could see that for sure. He's going to get in a lot of trouble with the military if he did it. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking too. So if hands were not laid on him first and he did that, he could possibly. This whole situation's strange to me, guys. I'm not used to seeing stuff like this. Hey, Dale, how are you doing today? Unfortunately, Officer High, who's already been suspended twice now, and now is under investigation again. I don't know. I didn't see what led up to it, so I don't want to say he should or should not get suspended. The investigation should take place. But my opinion on this stuff, during an investigation, I don't think police officers should be able to walk the streets until the investigation's concluded. They should be limited to office work. And maybe you guys don't agree with that, and that's okay. But this guy has an investigation going on him, so he probably, I feel like, should. I hope we don't see him during the protest or anything like that. I hope they just have him doing office work and doing the responsible thing moving forward until this investigation is concluded. Is worse than. Okay. Yeah, well, that's what he is, this angry cops page, and that it amazes me because I know could be reprimanded with honorable discharge. I know that. Yeah, I know that's one of the possibilities. Well, yeah, Jonathan, it wasn't anything super. I don't think he injured the guy. The guy did look like he was in mental distress, and the way you handle people in mental distress is not punching them and knocking them on the ground and sitting on their chest, unfortunately. Well, maybe not unfortunately, but that's not how you handle people with mental distress. And, unfortunately, we see it all the time with the homelessness and everything in the city and the mental order. It's awful. We need to take care of these people better. And, and Buffalo's already this powder keg, and we've seen the relationships with Buffalo, the city, and the police department really get worse. And I just don't think this helped. So I hope the investigation's quick. I hope they they give us more information on the event going forward, because I think we have the right to know what was going on. Yeah, Richard High, exactly. Officer Richard High. And like I said, Blue Raven schooled him when he was giving Blue Raven a hard time on the Constitution. And, for me, my real thing with it is these officers should know the Constitution and stuff. And this guy was proven earlier, a few months ago, not to know the Constitution. Yeah, no, I'm not saying not sitting on him was wrong, Jonathan. I'm saying when he punched him in the face first, that led up, and then knocked him on the ground before he sat on him. I think that was my issue with it. I just think there was better ways to handle it. I know you haven't seen the video yet. No, sitting on his chest, I did not have an actual issue with. It's not like he was kneeling on his neck or anything like that. It's not like the guy was having trouble breathing. I had an issue with the guy punching him, and then eventually just not letting him back up. Again, I don't think the guy was running. The police were on their way. There was so many people there. The guy wouldn't have got away as it was. Obviously there's people in the crowd. Why don't you come hit me then? Why don't you come hit me then? And that, I'm glad he did not add to fuel to the fire and run his mouth. He just sat there quietly. And that was that was kind of one of the more responsible things I think he did, was just sitting there quietly after and not really running his mouth. Yeah, I know. And all officers should have to take exam on the Constitution before they become an officer. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, if you don't know your rights, then they don't care. If you don't know, they're not going to educate you on your rights. And so you guys, that's why it's up to us to know our constitutional rights. That's why I have my copy here. That's why I have these things that I hand out to people at protest. Wonder if previous complaints is. Yeah, so what I know about Richard High is he was suspended twice. They do? I don't know, because there's an awful lot of police officers that don't know any court cases pertaining to anything, that don't know any of the rights word for word. Again, I'm not an officer. Maybe they do, but then then they just let it go out the door, because none of them know the Constitution. It seems like, and it's sad to say, because the Constitution's, it's the law of the land. Everybody should know the Constitution. Including you guys, everyday citizens. It protects us. Honestly, a lot of officers that love. Yes, he is the angry cops guy. Yes, exactly. He's the angry cops guy. And I think that's kind of my issue too. This guy has this huge social media platform, who I did reach out to for comments, and they refused to comment or haven't seen the message yet. I'm not sure. Or they have seen the message, it looks like, but they haven't commented. And it is what it is. But he's under an investigation. We'll have more details. I'm going to follow up on this story. Maybe I can find something out. The whole situation's pretty sad. Hopefully the man in the video that was on the ground, hopefully he is getting the mental help he needs, because it seemed like he needed some kind of mental help. Richard High, obviously, is under internal investigation. And I know we spent a long time on the story, and I usually don't do full opinions like this a whole lot, but it just bothers me that the relationship between Buffalo police and the people is so bad, because we should feel like we can turn to the police when we need to, when we need help. Every time you see a cop car, you shouldn't be like, oh shit, am I in trouble? You should be, let me get out of their way. They're probably going to try to help somebody. I will share the video, Donna. And yeah, the whole thing is just weird, man. And we should feel protected by these cops. And in Buffalo, the relationship between the people and the police is so bad, it's hard for us to say we feel protected, because we've seen how they've treated people differently in videos. We've seen this time and time again. We've seen how when they pushed Marty down, and and not only the police's reaction, but the public's response. And The response of Trump at the time calling Marty Antifa. He was trying to wave something. His cell phone. He was going to deactivate their body cameras with his cell phone. Really? Like, stuff like that bothers me. But all right, guys, I'm going to log off here. 2.5 Men's going to be on in a little bit. I'm going to get ready. I'm sick of the nonsense. And Buffalo Police is not helping their case. Byron Lockwood, if you want things to get better between your police department and the public, talk to me. Return my fucking calls. Let's do it. Let's talk policies to fix public discourse. We've talked on the phone before, Byron. Why have you stopped returning my calls? Councilman Rivera, why have you stopped returning my calls? I'm trying to help you guys out. I want to be a part of the change. I have ideas to help police in the public, fix relations from cities where these policies have worked. But you guys have stopped returning my calls. Why? We were talking for a while, all of us. What happened? That's all I got to say, guys. You guys have a good night. Love you guys. And I